You know what I'm saying?
Say hi, Jessica. Say hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Martina Rojo. Should I begin? Is everybody here?
I think Toby isn't here yet, and Matthias might be joining as well, so we could give them maybe a few more minutes.
Good. Get yourself. Awesome.
You are not moving.
Okay. Yes.
I need to do it for your slides. Wait, I'm gonna just click
Alexis, you're on.
on appear for all.
Alexis, your mic is on.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Toby.
Hello.
I was waiting for everybody to log in so nobody misses anything.
Well, so now I'm gonna love the surprise that actually everyone gonna turn on the camera, because I cannot read, I can just see faces. All
Okay,
right,
so what's
everyone.
the surprise?
Or those who
What is
want
the
to.
surprise?
I just want to see faces. Everyone gotta turn on their visuals.
We have Principal Cornell. Nice to see you.
Hi, how is everybody? Hi, Toby. Nice to see you.
We're hoping that by the time we give out the awards, we'll be able to do it in person at the hotel.
Oh, God, hopefully.
Yeah.
Wait,
All right.
how many years is it now? What year is this?
This is our 6th year because last
So-
year got sports, right?
Yeah, that's great, man.
Okay. So maybe take a second, Matthias. So who do we have? Do we have all of our judges on? Is Winston on?
Yes.
You see
Hey,
Winston?
Winston, how are you doing?
How are you? And do we see Richard Bierek on? Has he joined us?
Not yet,
Okay, not
but
sure if we see him. Okay, very good. So I think I'm just going to take a minute and just say hello to everybody, and then if that's okay, Giovanni, and then we'll go on and you'll take it from there, or whoever's taking the lead on the presentation. So I first of all wanted to acknowledge this partnership that we've had with HWKN. I think we call ourselves Hawken now, and the what we think is the best high school in the city of New York, that we were grateful to have met. That now it's like 8 years ago, and this amazing partnership. I wanted to really tell you how appreciative we are of everybody's time. Jessica Knobloch from HWKN, who continues to shepherd this, and of course, you know, Mr. Cornell and his entire team, Giovanni, and everybody, Emily, I see Emily on, and of course, Mr. Codio. And excited, even though we can't be together in person, to see everybody's beautiful designs, and very much appreciative of Winston Von Engel, who's on, and I believe Richard Bierek from the City of New York, Department of City Planning, the head of the Brooklyn office, and from the Borough President's office, taking the time, and of course, Matthias Holrich, who we are so excited to always be collaborating with, to work with me to judge these amazing designs. And hopefully we'll be able to be together very soon in person to celebrate. I think we've done it now for almost 6 years. We've actually made the parties at the Williamsburg Hotel, and been able to get together hopefully very soon. So I'll hand it over now to either Jessica or the team at WHSAD to start the proceedings.
If it's okay, I'll go first. You know, Toby, I just wanted to personally thank you and Heritage Equity Partners for this. We've been doing this for 6 years now, and it doesn't seem that long actually, but it's been great. And just so everybody knows that what you're going to see tonight, it was the first time we did this at our school years ago. Toby and her organization set the template for us that we actually use with many of our partners now. You know, it's been an excellent exercise for us every year. This one is always the best. Toby brings in top people from the field, and our kids actually get the experience of getting professional criticism. And it is just super important, particularly, and this is what I want to highlight, in this past year when students in the city were basically gypped out of an education. There's no other way to put that. Partners like Heritage Equity and all the partners online with us now have really filled that gap, have provided our kids with learning experiences that were important to them in the past year. So I thank everybody here. And with that, I'll pass it over to Giovanni.
Thank you for that, and it's really our privilege to be here working with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome everyone, and I have nothing to say. It's all been said, but thank you all. And I am Mr. Codio. You have a student, Martina.
Yes, she's just waiting. Mhm.
She's gonna be the
Moderator.
Yep, moderator for tonight. Thank you all.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Martina, and I'm part of the Bushwick Generator Project. Once again, I want to thank you for being part of this project. I would like to introduce our principal, Cornell. Once again, I also want to welcome Toby Moskowitz and her crew. I also wanted to thank everyone for who has helped us during the process. I wanted to give a big shout out to Jessica for all her guidance and motivation throughout the entire process. You really pushed us to do our best. I would also like to say that being part of this project has been an awesome journey from start to finish and has really played a huge part in my senior year. Without further ado, we'll start the presentations. So first up, we have Filippo and Alexis.
May I just say, if we do presentations, we actually always have to show our faces. It's really part of architecture. So if you guys dare, I would love to see you guys. Can you turn on your video? Let's make it more personal, because it's a lot about your design, but also the personal connection you make with your audience. And we have seen the weirdest backgrounds in Zoom, I tell you. No surprises if you have some strange backgrounds here in.
Okay, I'm Filippo, hi. So first thing is that I don't have a working camera, unfortunately, because I'm on a desktop. So I don't like have an external camera. I should probably get one. But question, who should be presenting? Like, who should be sharing the screen? Is it gonna be me, I guess, sharing it?
Yeah, whichever you guys want. Yeah,
Okay.
you can be fine.
All right, one sec. I'll get that started up.
I'm in the same situation with the webcam. I don't have a webcam, and I really should get one.
All right. Well, you've got a picture at least. You've got a face.
Yeah.
It says, I tried sharing my screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, you have to just say who.
Okay, let me just fix that, because I'm down as the host.
Okay.
It should work now. Filippo, if you want to try.
Yeah, it lets me. One sec. I can see my own screen. One sec.
Yeah, we can see your outline.
All right, so you can see the presentation, right?
Yes.
All right, let me go to the beginning. My bad. Okay. So I guess I'll just introduce myself. My name is Filippo Cacciatore. I'm a senior at WHSAD. I'm working with my partner, Alexis Cisneros. We also have Yufeng listed here. he wasn't technically part of our group. He was assisting us with the project since unfortunately we joined late. So like our time was kind of like strained a bit in terms of working on the project. So we do want to give him credit, of course, for helping us with whatever we needed help with. And I'll hand it over to Alexis now.
Hello. As Filippo said, my name is Alexis Cisneros, and I'm also a senior at WHSAD. And our group is very grateful and fortunate to have been able to get an opportunity like this. And this is what we made. The title for our project is Bushwick Core. We came up with the name because we want this to be the central and most important part of Bushwick. So this is the table of contents, and we're going to be talking about 6 topics. Our first topic being project objectives, our second being site analysis, our third being precedent studies, our fourth being mood board, our fifth being bubble diagram, and our last and sixth one being area usage. First topic, project objectives. All right, so these are our project objectives. Programming will include lobby slash entrance to the office floors above, retail component, parking, garage entrance, space for events for tenants and local residents, as well as seminars and classes. And based on our concept and design, our objective is that the project will strengthen the community. We want the community to be attracted to the building, encouraging human interaction in a safe environment. Second topic is site analysis. And as you can see in the image to the left, it shows the project location. And our project location is in 215 Moore Street, Brooklyn. And then the image to the right shows the existing and proposed zoning and how it will look like. In the bottom of the image, you can see that it shows a dotted outline on how the area should be zoned. So what is Bushwick? Bushwick is originally an area for farming tobacco and food. It used to be called Bushwick, which means town in the woods in Dutch. The name got anglicized when the British took over. So this is our circulation. The address is 215 Moore Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11206. The nearby transportations as shown are the L train station, bus routes, and as well as city bike stations. The area itself contains various distinct types of buildings like schools and restaurants. Our map legend shows that in the blue is the L train station, in magenta is the bus routes, in green is the city bike stations, in yellow is the schools and restaurants and other things. The red is the Bushwick core.
Okay, I'll be continuing now. So our next slide is the precedent studies. So for a preceding study, I used a website. Well, I looked through some websites. I also had some assistance from teachers to find some inspiration from. So I found this image. It's relax. It's kind of like a lounge area. It's kind of unique. Why? Because it's not just chairs and tables. We wanted to get an insight of how complex and how simple we can keep it also. You know, how we can transform something as simple as a lounge area to something maybe like, I don't know, something you don't see every day. You don't walk into a cafe and see, you know, just people lying on the floor comfortably. You usually see chairs and tables. So we wanted to see if we could do something different. So next we have our mood board. We have 2 slides for this. We pretty much took inspiration from these mood boards just to see how what kind of styles we could look for. We are mainly aiming at modernistic designs or something maybe that's been around for a while, but with more of a modern take, and experimenting with like not too many colors because I feel like it'll be a bit too overwhelming. So we wanted to keep it we wanted to make it feel comfortable. The colors to help you feel comfortable when you walk in there. You know, it feels like a nice environment, welcoming environment. So for this, our mood board just gives us a base idea how we can use color schemes, what kind of style we can go for our Bushwick core. Um, so for example, the coffee shop, restaurant, lounge area, any kind of clothing store. And we don't have the exact same places that the mood board is showing also, but we want to see a little bit of everything so we can understand what we're working with and potential ideas for maybe something we could even add in. Next, we have our bubble diagrams. For our ground floor, we pretty much just took the original floor plan and we kind of just labeled where we think it would be comfortable to put certain rooms. We decided to put a larger area for a lounge. It's closer to the entrance and it's more accessible. We also put a restaurant there too.
What's your name?
Reason we put a restaurant in the lounge area is so people can access, you know, snacks, drinks, whatever they want while they're working on anything. We put our elevators and stairs in the middle, so it's accessible for everyone. So whether you're coming out of the bathrooms, you're coming out of the loading dock, you're coming out of the restaurants, you're coming out of the pharmacy, whatever, it's all accessible. And for our first floor, we're also just organizing our space there. Since we're not including 2 restrooms, we're putting it in an area that's closest to the elevators, and it's most accessible for everyone. Our lounge area is located near the elevators, so when people get off, they're able to go straight there. And we put a coffee shop and bookstore next to the lounge area for the purpose of, once again, if people want to get snacks, if people want to get drinks, or if people want to get something to read, they could get it and sit down and read. Alexis will be continuing now with the area usage.
So, area usage. The Bushwick core is built to serve many common purposes for almost anyone. Whether you want to grab a quick coffee, grab a bite to eat, or sit down and work in peace, then the Bushwick core is your new go-to spot. We believe that this building can benefit the community by providing a comfortable and welcoming environment for everyone.
So I'd like to finish it off now. Thank you to everyone listening. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer. Yeah, I would say it was quite difficult, mainly because we haven't been able to work on too many different projects like this, so it's kind of a new experience. But I would say it was definitely interesting. I enjoyed working on it. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to listen. And sorry if I started quite a bit. it's been a minute since I did a presentation. So thank you again.
So I was gonna.
Thank you to everyone for listening. Well, we're very grateful.
Yeah, so I was gonna start, first of all, if it's okay, Giovanni, could I just jump in and give comments? And then we'll just go around to everybody?
Oh, yes, go ahead. Tony.
So I wanted to say this presentation is phenomenal. The layout of the presentation, I'm gonna ask you to send me a copy because with your permission, some
of
of
course,
those
of course.
slides I would love to use. You know, as I've learned from my mentor, Matthias, who's right here, we always start with inspiration photos. So I love that Jessica really helped walk you through what's a real life presentation that anyone would do, whether they're working for an architecture firm or a development firm or for the Department of City Planning, to lay out your thought process. And I think the presentation was, you know, A1 in terms of the way the materials laid out and the way you communicated your vision. So that's,
Thank you.
want to commend you on that.
Yeah, Jessica's help was definitely, it was a lot. It was good. It helped me put together the presentation better because it was kind of sloppy before. And with her feedback, I was able to put it together more and make a more stable and presentable presentation.
Okay, we'll move on. I see Matthias has something to say.
Yeah, no, super awesome. I think the ambition to make this the Bushwick core, I think it's fantastic because when you bring a new program, right, you also have to create a reason why the neighborhood should accept something new coming into the neighborhood. And when you have interesting new activities, opportunities, and for people to come together with, then you can make sure that it becomes embraced and really is an added value and not just something that arrives and people might gonna reject. And what is so interesting at this time in the world of real estate is that everything is being reinvented because of the pandemic and also a lot of other changes in the world. And when I combine now your image of the informal kind of landscape and the different programs, then I see a great future for that place because it has incredible kind of flexibility built in, but also kind of an environment where people can find a place where they might gonna work, socialize, or go shopping, and everything combined. Because this is right now like the biggest change where this kind of fusions of different programs are happening. So I think you tapped into something really interesting that would be fascinating to actually further develop and really build at some point in a location like this.
Yeah, adding on to that, I would like to say that while making this project, our concepts and ideas weren't really mostly what we wanted. We took into consideration mostly the community and the way people would want to see a building. We want it to be a comfortable environment. We want it to be opening, like you said, and we hope that everyone is together and united.
Yeah, awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe just to add on to that, I agree. I think the presentation was very well laid out. I love the reference pictures that you have, and I think you also like did a good job at selecting them and pointing out why you selected them. Obviously, you had a little bit less time than the rest of the team, and so I think the next step for you would have been super interesting. I would love to have seen what you would have done basically with these spaces you're proposing and how you would have created this fluid environment between the lounge, the library, the cafe, and all of that without, you know, typical furniture. Like that's exactly what I think would have been super exciting to see with pointing out what Matthias pointed out, like how you create these spaces that can actually even be used for something that you might not even be imagining, right? This is where that third aspect of design comes in, where the user almost defines how things are being used. And you would have created such an environment that would have enabled that.
Any thoughts or comments? Richard or Winston?
So I'm going to jump in from someone who's colorblind, although I can often see colors, but I can't pass the test. An added clue that I think would make it more universal would be, in addition to the colors, if you place a number into space in terms of the heat plan, so that, and within the boxes, so that there's no guesswork where colors are close together. So just something to think about in terms of presentation. What probably was not clear is what gave you the sense of how big to make a box. So I don't know what was there to help you understand how big a shape should be. So I don't know what went into the research on that. Were you given a set size, or was this something you kind of had to figure out yourself in terms of, say, what's an appropriate area for vertical circulation? So it'd be interesting to learn the thought process that decided upon the shapes.
So yeah, that's actually great feedback. I didn't think of the sense of, someone viewing it could be colorblind, so I appreciate that feedback. So I was thinking of potentially, in the future, if for these kinds of presentations for bubble diagrams, to do symbols. So maybe find icons for a restaurant or a chair, something to symbolize the lounge area or restaurant or clothing store. So that's definitely something for me to think about. In terms of figuring out how big we want to do the bubbles, that was kind of just, we're kind of figuring out how logically it should be certain sides. A lounge area shouldn't be like too big all the time, and it should match the areas it's around. Well, the places it's around. It should match kind of the sides, so it's not too big. It's not taking up too much space. It just makes sense because let's say I have the lounge area on the first floor, and it's similar sides to the bookstore, and it's similar sides to the restaurant. And so the reason we did this is because there's a little bit of a hangout area in both the bookstore and the cafe. So it's I felt necessary to not make the lounge area too big since there's already enough room for people to lounge.
Yeah, and maybe just to add on to that, also just for I guess lay out the baseline for the project. So the students were given the building actually by us, so the design of the building, as well as the ground and second floor plan, which was though scrubbed of any rooms and designs. So there was not a reference given of how big these spaces should be. That was left to the students. They received the core, which would lead to the offices above. So the task was to program, layout, and design these first two floors, the ground floor and the second floor, as places where the tenants of the offices above and the neighbors from the surrounding area could come together.
And I actually have a question for both Alexis and Filippo, and that is, you mentioned that you were thinking about the community in terms of the uses in there. So tell us a little bit more about what were those uses, what did you hear, or what did you interpret, and what did you include as a result of that?
So based off of that, I was doing some research on on basically what people around the area, mostly New York. I looked up many of their likes and things that they like to do, mainly with human interaction, because that's one of our objectives, to make sure that it's an environment where people could meet each other, make connections. It's a safe place, and we really wanted to express that. So that's what I meant by we took into consideration the people, and that's where I got my research from, the census.
Okay.
I'll add on a bit in terms of the sense of community. I felt like something like this, like Bushwick core. A core to me, especially if you put it in the name of a building, sounds like something for people to come together to. It's like an area that is welcoming to everyone. So that's why we have lounge areas, we have cafes, we have bookstores, we have clothing stores. It's something anyone and everyone can go to, do whether it's shopping or just chill with friends. It's for everyone. It's a good sense of community.
I think would be interesting, right? If some of the programs are not connected to commerce, and I thought that was so interesting about your space, right? That was a liberated space from furniture, and you could just hang out wherever you want to and do whatever you want to. And that is also important that the program can support it, right? That you don't need to buy a coffee to be able to sit there. You can just sit there if you want to, right? And this is sometimes important to just think about these kind of programmatic nuances, like when you do a Barnes and Nobles, if they still exist, right? That's a commercial enterprise, but if you do a public library, then that would be something where everyone can come in, right? And that might be also important and interesting to think through about the ownership of public space or space. Mm-hmm.
And if I may add to just the lounge area, right? It sounds like, and Matthias seems to be suggesting this as well. It's almost like it could be operated as a, without the pressure, if you will, right? To purchase something, to buy something, but then you also need someone to manage it, to operate it, to clean it, to keep it in order. And I wonder if you had any, as you were preparing this, if you had any thoughts about that.
Yeah, so we didn't have any like actual intention to like make a requirement to sit in like the lounge area. It's supposed to be something everyone can go to. I don't really see a reason, for people to go there, and then someone's like, oh, no, you didn't buy a coffee, get out of here. We don't want to do something like that. Obviously, it's welcoming to everyone, and that's why there's a coffee shop. That's why there's a bookstore. There's purposes. If people want to buy a coffee, they go there. The lounge area, the purpose is to just chill out or work, whatever you need to do. There's no requirement.
Adding on to that, we just really want it to be accessible for everyone. This way, like, no matter like your circumstances, it's a place where you could go to make sure like everything's all right, and you're like there, you could hang out, meet someone, like, have new experiences.
By the way, Winston, your questions bring me to an idea, Jessica, for next year, which we should try to do something almost like a charrette, where we could easily bring in whatever project we're doing, people in the community, to give the students a chance to chat with them, which obviously wasn't something feasible during COVID. But I think it's just in line with your questioning, Winston, of understanding community need in any project. It's a good addition for next year to the program. And we hope that after you certify us very soon, we're going to be able to bring the students to actual in-person hearings. I don't know if that's in the agenda. People actually meeting physically again soon. At the community board, we're done with digital electronic meetings already.
In time.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Philippa and Alexis. I'm talking about Coder because he made us switch computers. I am so sorry. Well, next up, we have Janet and Saba presenting. Janet, whenever you're ready.
Oh, I just stopped sharing, just to make sure.
Hello, can you see it?
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can see your first slide.
Hello, my name is
Hello, my name is Saba. I am a senior at WHSAD, and I work with Janet, and our project is called the Bushwick Jam.
Hello, my name is Janet, and I'm a senior at WHSAD. And along with my partner Saba, we're going to be presenting our project, the Bushwick Jam, that we have been working on for the past several months.
This is a table of contents. We focused on 6 topics, which are project objectives, site analysis, retail space mood board, precedent studies, bubble diagram, floor plans, and elevations.
The main purpose of this project was to focus on designing the interior of the ground floor and first floor and create a flexible and resilient place. This project is where we are able to collaborate as a group that consists of us getting the knowledge of growing an idea and design for the activation building. The Bushwick Gem is located at 215 Moore Street in Brooklyn. The Bushwick Gem will be a community of innovative and creative businesses integrated into one of New York City's most vibrant neighborhoods. The programming will include the lobby entrance to the office floors above, retail components, and parking garage entrance.
History of the site. During the mid-20th centuries, the city policymakers actually ignored North Brooklyn, and many wastes were moved to the area. And even during 1980s, it was even proposed to tear down Williamson Bridge to save up some maintenance costs. But during the 1980s and 1990s, many of the musicians and artists moved into the area, which became a hotbed of creativity and innovation. One of those artists was Jean-Michel Basquiat, who was known for using language in his artwork and interacting in his everyday space. And his graffiti works decorated local buildings and shaped the way viewers interacted with art spaces. This is the location of the site. It is located on 215 Moore Street. There is a Morgan Avenue station nearby and also Williamsburg Charter School. These are the train routes. There is two closest stations, which are Montrose Avenue and Morgan Avenue, which are used for the L train. These are the bus routes. There is a Flushing Avenue, Bushwick Avenue station. There is a Flushing Avenue, Beaver Street, and there is a Flushing Avenue and Evergreen Street. The main bus is B57.
So about the neighborhood, Bushwick is a working-class neighborhood in the northern part of New York City borough in Brooklyn. Its population is the city's 35th most diverse neighborhood since 2007. Most of the residents in Bushwick are Latino American citizens, which makes Bushwick the most populous Hispanic American community in Brooklyn. The materials used for the building are mixed brick in brown tones and metal accents, which are used for the windows. We want to have the concept as well as from the outside to the inside of the building. Here we have our mood board. All the stores will maintain an industrial style to achieve an industrial feel. A natural color palette is most commonly used, a mix of gray, neutrals, and rustic colors that can be seen in these spaces. These simple colors will allow for the use of furniture and other accessories to help liven up the room. Consisting most of neutral hues and materials that focus on unique textures, this design style is easy to pull off with lighting, decor, and furniture. Okay, so this is our architectural present study. So all the stores will maintain the industrial look and use materials such as bare bricks, metals, and wood. We believe that the industrial style interior design is also environmentally friendly because it encourages the use of recycled and salvage materials.
And trying to find the images for the Bushwick Gem, we focused on the industrial style stores, and main emphasis was placed on natural beer finishes and materials.
Here we have our bubble diagram for the building. The programs or retail stores that we are planning to have on the ground floor are the bakery, the bookstore, and the restaurant, as well as lounge area in between the in between the bookstore and the restaurant. As a local restaurant will provide good food at a reasonable price for the community as well as create jobs. The bakery will contribute to the health, skills, confidence, and economic security of the community. The bookstore will help keep the local community alive, and it will serve a place for relaxation.
On the first floor, we are planning on adding several programs such as pharmacy, clothing store, perfume store, juice bar, jewelry store, and gym. These programs will reflect the neighborhood of Bushwick as a whole and provide people with different interests to come to the Bushwick generator and enjoy and buy whatever they want. We believe the variety of programs will truly bring the community as a whole, and Bushwick gem can become a symbol of Bushwick and North Brooklyn. Also, to access the first floor, there is an elevator and there's also a stairs there.
So here we have a picture of the design of the restaurant, where we want to go with. Having an industrial restaurant with wide open spaces with large dining areas are the highlight of such a restaurant. So the things needed for the restaurant was square tables, banquet style chairs, kitchen, a cash register, sinks, washing equipment, shelving, and oven. Here we have more images of the design we want to go for the bookstore, which is also industrial style. The things needed for the bookstore are the bookshelves, the cash register, a rectangular wood library table, reference desk, and circulation desk. This is another inspired image of the design for the industrial bakery. And the things needed are the oven, the bakery prep table, bakery display cases, sheet pen rack, cash register, and menu board or design.
This is a lounge area that will be placed between the bookstore and bakery, and it will maintain the industrial style. It will also use the industrial style lighting, and some of the things that will be inside the lounge area will be sofas, coffee tables, media stands, side tables, excellent chairs, area rug, and overhead lighting. This is the clothing store. Clothing store will also maintain the industrial look and will include components of industrial style, such as weathered wood, building systems, exposed brick, industrial lighting fixtures, and concrete. Some of the items that will go inside will be mannequins, mirrors, shelves, cash register, sofa, and chairs. This is a juice bar. Juice bar will also maintain the industrial style, and it will use materials such as wood and other recycled materials. And lighter colored floors will incorporate the style of the industrial. And some of the things that will go inside will be wooden tables, wooden chairs, refrigerators, cabinets, and cash register. On the first floor, there will be a pharmacy. Pharmacy will include shelving, tables, reception desk, and overall maintain industrial look. We are planning also to include some of the separate rooms inside the pharmacy, which will be a compounding processing room, consultation room, storage room, bathrooms, and staff room. This is a perfume store. Perfume store will use industrial lighting fixtures and weathered wood. And also some of the things that will go inside will be the shelves, closets, containers, sofa, and rectangular tables.
Having a cell phone store will maintain an industrial look, and with the use of bare bricks for its walls, I feel like it will help us to have still the same industrial look that we plan to design. So some of the things that will go inside the cell phone store are the shelving, the storage room, the reception area, phones, and the tables.
Gym will also be placed on the first floor, and it will also incorporate the industrial look. And some of the things that will go inside will be a training equipment, reception desk, and mirrors. This is the ground floors that we designed in the AutoGAD, and the main retail stores that will be inside the ground floor will be a restaurant, bakery, and bookstore. Bakery and bookstore will be separated by the lounge area.
This is the floor plan of the restaurant, which is located in the ground floor. The restaurant will be designed in the industrial style and will mainly consist of Spanish food based on the fact that there is a large Hispanic community in the Bushwick area. So the restaurant will include separate rooms like the kitchen, storage room, staff room, bathrooms for men and women, as well as private dining area, which will be separate from the main dining area using the wall. There will be 2 reception areas because there are 2 main openings, as you can see on the outside of the restaurant. So in addition, there will be a small place reserved outside the restaurant, which we mainly serve as the dining area. So now here we have another floor plan that we designed for the bakery and bookstore, which is also located in the ground floor of the building. So the bakery and the bookstore will be separated by the lounge area where customers can relax while going from one store to another. The bakery will include separate rooms for the storage, bathrooms, kitchen, and staff room. And the reception desk will be placed near the kitchen. As for the bookstore, it will also include different rooms such as the staff room, bathroom, and various separate sections based on different topics the customer is looking for. The shapes of both stores will be different from one another.
This is the first floor. Some of the stores that will go inside will be a pharmacy, clothing store, perfume store, cell phone store, juice bar, and gym. Pharmacy will include many shelves where the medicine and other items will be stored, as well as a reception table in the middle. There will be a separate room for the compounding, processing, drop-off, consultation room, also a storage room, separate bathrooms, and staff room. This is a clothing store, and its layout will be different from any other stores. And there will be an opening on both sides. And some of the sections inside the clothing store will be a featured sale, dresses, also a reception area in the middle, and it will have the 3 dressing rooms. This is a perfume store. Perfume store will include shelving where perfume will be stored, as well as a separate storage area. There will be openings on 2 sides of the perfume store.
This is the floor plan for the cell phone store, which is located on the first floor. The cell phone store will be smaller in size compared to other rooms, and then will have a rectangular shape. It will have a reception table in the middle near the storage room, as well as shelves placed around the store.
This is a juice bar, which will be similar in design to the restaurant on the ground floor, and it will include rooms like for the kitchen, for the storage room, as well as separate bathrooms, and also includes a bar area over here, just like the restaurant on the ground floor. The gym will have openings on 2 sides, and there will be 2 separate reception areas. Near the training areas, there will be separate locker rooms for men and women with separate showers and bathrooms. And there also will be a solarium and a massage room to attract more customers. And there will be on the right side of the training areas, there will be an office for staff.
Here we have pictures of the building elevation of the Bushwick Tram. As you can see on the bottom left is the White Street elevation, and on the top right we have the Moore Street elevation, and on the bottom we have the Siegel Street elevation. This shows the different viewpoints of the building. So here we have our restaurant elevation, which shows different viewpoints of the interior and exterior of the restaurant. As you can see, we have the dining area in the middle and a reception desk near the main opening of the restaurant. Finally, we have our elevations of the bookstore. We have the shelves for the books and furniture to sit and relax. To make the bookstore more exciting, we decided to create a small cubicle shaped like a hexagon where people can sit and relax in the bookstore. Both elevations were worked on AutoCAD by rendering and adding materials in order to have our final design.
Thank you. Any questions?
You hired.
Yeah, could you just go back also? I want to see the last slide again, if you don't mind, if you could just leave it up while we ask our questions.
Sure. This one,
Previous
right?
slide. Yeah, the previous one, yeah. Okay, Matthias, you want to go first? Unless Winston wants to take the lead.
Either way, I mean, this is super exciting. I think what you have started to do is really create a very consistent story about the material from the inside outside and the qualities what Bushwick presents from the past into the present. And then bringing that into the building with all the kind of different program components. But I also like where you're getting at with your layouts, and we're seeing the trend right now that a lot of things are moving towards like markets and open that have different programmatic offerings that then can be shared in a more public setting. And like the lounge area, for example, on the ground floor between the two different front programs which was shared. I think that is a really interesting model that we're seeing and that you're proposing here. Because that always gives you that kind of public space between the private spaces that creates a whole mixing between the one people that have a drink, the other ones that eat, the next ones who go shopping, they run through to the pharmacy, right? So that it creates positive friction between people so that they meet each other, that they maybe become friendly, become friends, maybe later on do things together, but accidental kind of meetings, opportunities. So there's a lot in here. And then I'm also very excited about your computer skills. This looks awesome. These are great spaces.
Thank you so much.
So, sorry. Okay, there we go. I'd like to actually, I was also impressed by the presentation, as with the previous one on the graphics. And I particularly like the fact that you included a population analysis or just a summary, like who lives here, who are the people that are going to be able to take advantage of your project. I have some questions for you. I was also impressed by your concept about the industrial look of the spaces. How did you come up with the different uses? The bookstore, the restaurant, particularly clothing, perfume, gym or cell phone store. And how did you find, I'm curious, how did you find all those prototype images?
We did some research around the stores near Bushwick as well as around the New York City, and based on that, so what items goes inside each store, how they look, and different information about them. We recorded, we compared, and then we decided what was to be used and what to be not used.
I would add that, Winston, are you done with your comments? I see you muted. Okay, so I wanted to add as well that very, very impressive. Oh, hold on, you're still muted. You speaking to us?
I'm done. Thank you.
You're done. Okay, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Extremely impressive CAD skills and presentation skills. I also noticed the very apt reference images you were using. You know, any one of those would be appropriate for the building from a design aesthetic and from the use of the materials. So, you know, great work on that and, you know, very thoughtful. And I also, you know, echoing Matthias's comments, the selection of materials and how you thought through, bringing in the inside out and putting the time in to think through uses as relates to the historic context of other industries in the neighborhood is very thoughtful, and I think it's overall phenomenal work. These are all,
Thank you so much.
they're all professional grade presentations. So obviously you have great teachers, but everybody should be very proud of themselves. I mean, this is the kind of work product I would expect from someone with a few years of experience, and you guys should be very, very proud at the quality of the work that you've done here. Very impressive.
If nobody has any other questions or concerns.
Yeah, Richard, you want to give us any comments or thoughts?
Okay.
Sure. So one thing from the data that you had up front, where you had the city placing the waste transfer in the neighborhood just to change the thinking about it, it may have been in reaction to sanitation no longer collecting waste from commercial businesses, but actually these were private facilities that chose private properties. So the information, I wouldn't agree with what you have in that part of the presentation. I really love some of the images you pulled together, like seeing the image that had the trucks and the cars with even the turning radius, understanding that vehicles need to get out of a building or into a building, into a street width. I think that was great. The images that showed the vertical cores with the bathrooms. I really like the idea of splitting each use into its own slide, because number one, you get a bigger picture. So we could certainly appreciate what you're putting in that photograph and understanding your vision for the spaces. The restaurant layout, again, I liked seeing, with the tables and everything. The one thing I would put out, depending if you're evolving into careers in architecture, is, so when you look at bathrooms these days, well, first of all, based on maybe not the best policies, having men and women's bathrooms of the same size, you probably don't want to do that unless you don't have a choice. You'd rather favor more space for women. And also today you're seeing really creative concepts where you're having unisex bathrooms. I actually once went into a bathroom where there was a door for males and doors for female. You ended up in the same space, and then you had your stalls or whatever. So it's just something to think about. And this is the first time ever I've seen people indicated in sections, but never looking down in a plan views. I kind of liked the people that you added to kind of show a sense of scale to the spaces. I will critique you though on the training room, where the bathrooms and stores, showers, they're very linear. So if you think about the door swing, if the door swing is a scaling element, right, to me, a door swing is going to be about 3 feet. So when you look at the width of the room and you look at the door swing, you got to keep going. There you go. You kind of have no room but to walk in the room and out. There's not going to be room for fixtures. So if the door swing is of scale, your rooms are too narrow. If the door swings are not of scale, then putting a door swing that's not of scale gives a wrong impression that a space actually does work. And that's it.
Thank you for the feedback.
Maybe I could also just add one more thing. I very much liked how you structured the presentation from, general, this is the site, this is the population, these are the access points to the site, to, space allocations, then to your 2D plans, and finishing off with the 3D and more like immersive experience, which was great to see. What I think would have helped your presentation, especially of these 2D plans, is a bit more explanation of some of the choices you've made. And we've seen it, for example, in the bookstore in that next slide, you've cut off the corners sometimes, or in the clothing store, you decided to round the corners and make it actually a very symmetrical layout, as opposed to the gym, which is asymmetrical. And so I thought those were, clearly you've made some choices here with that X-shaped storage space, the fact that the interior is more open and you put everything else on the outside of the clothing store. Those are all choices that you've made that when you do a presentation, it's helpful to actually walk us through. And I'm not saying you have to do that now retroactively, but more like for your future presentations. You might know why you decided to round these corners, but it's always interesting for people to find out what you were thinking when you did that.
And if I could, just one more thing, if you could go to the history slide at the beginning. Richard actually pointed out something, and I want to also say something on that about the waste transfer stations and the lack of investment in North Brooklyn, and just point out that I don't believe it was the city that located the waste transfer stations. Here we go. In North Brooklyn, it was there were waste transfer stations along the Greenpoint and Williamsburg waterfront, where today we have housing there, and it's hard today to imagine that 25, 30, 40 years ago, land had so little value that people used it to transfer waste there privately. Carters dumped it there, sorted through it, and sent it out again on trucks. The city has its own facilities. There is certainly, you can argue for environmental justice concerns about where those facilities are located, but not with that kind of arbitrary, even back then, that the city would on purpose take advantage of a community in this fashion. And I don't believe that the Williamsburg Bridge ever was slated or thought about as being taken down. I think there were some real maintenance issues with the Williamsburg Bridge. Our city was a much different city economically speaking 40, 50 years ago. We had, even now, we're much better off financially as a city. But back then, they were literally looking for money to help fix and paint the bridges to keep them in working order. And at one point, they even had to close some of the bridges because they were deemed too dangerous, and had to do emergency repairs on them to allow them to open. But I don't think at any time were there plans to actually tear it down. So just
it was debated, though. It was a public messaging that we might not have a choice.
Right, but you'd have to replace it with something, right?
At that time, when the statement came out, they were just dumbfounded, and then somehow they figured out how to budget to incrementally fix it.
Okay.
I think they got a lot of backlash when that statement got released that they might have to tear it down.
Okay. All right. So I'm learning something.
So if anyone doesn't have any more questions, thank you, Janet. Thank you, Saba. Thanks everyone for the feedback. We'll go on to the next presentation. Okay, well, I'm last with Mike. So, once again, I'm Martina Rojo.
I'm Jonathan Repol.
And this is the gem building presentation. So, the table of contents, we're gonna go through the intro, site analysis, ground floor, first floor, a floor plan, and last but not least, our conclusion. Intro. The gem building has the potential to be one of the most vibrant places in Brooklyn. We believe that this building should be able to bring everyone in the community together to have fun and for businesses to have a good working environment. Our project goal, a concept and design for the activation of the building, buildings, retail, and social spaces, as well as communal spaces. You might wonder why we call it gem building. We call it gem building because the building, we didn't see it as much as the Bushwick generator, but a building that's like right next to it. The first thing that came to mind was a gem because of the building design. And after that, it became the gym building. Site analysis. 1 second. We have the L train towards Manhattan and Rockaway. Both at short distance and available at all times. For the bus stops, we have the B60 going towards Canarsie and Williams Avenue and Williamsbridge Plaza, as well as the B57, which goes towards Mass Beth Freshpond and Red Hook Terminal. We did put together some data about the people around this area to help us match the different cultures and vibes to decide the stores that should be placed on the ground floor and to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and are welcome. Ground floor. Retail spaces. We made a list of conventional businesses that could fit on the ground floor, such as a coffee shop, a restaurant, convenience store, or a bookstore. This is our mood board. Here you can see how all these retail spaces give us the same mood, but they all give their own vibe. So we wanted to match the aesthetic of the area, which it was kind of like, we wanted to keep that same like feeling within the Bushwick building. We wanted to capture a vintage look to the other retail stores. We love the urban aesthetic because it also matches with the rest of the neighborhood as like spacious, and the materials which are mostly used are brick. So we wanted to match that and be able for everyone to be comfortable. This is the bubble diagram for the ground floor. This diagram gave us a placement of where everything could go because we wanted to be able to give an idea of where to place everything. And since it was like one of the first diagrams we did, moving on, we wanted to have a good idea of like where could the people go in with the retail and everything else. The first floor. The space for events. The space for the tenants and local residents should be spacious. Some of these spaces should be used for workshops, such as photography, language, or cooking. This will give the people in the community a chance to learn new things, interact with the gym building. Shops and workshops. In our opinion, stores should have their own design, but we did provide an area for each of these stores. An area of storage. While we design the space, they can design the interior of the store, which gives each business a chance to show their uniqueness. We provided a list of different workshops that would be interesting to have. So we went on to say photography. We do have a few photo studios that we can take into account when starting this photography workshop. Languages, based on the people around the neighborhood, which could help us for people to improve their languages skills. Cooking, there are many types of food around this neighborhood that we can share with the people around and help them improve to cook at home. We also have a fashion studio where people will learn to dress and accessorize, which we'll be also getting help from the vintage stores around the neighborhood. Investments, we had a few banks such as Chase Banks or Bank of America who we can connect with to make this workshop the best that we can. And last, we have arts and crafts. There's many art supply stores that can help us host this art and crafts program. So people have many different ways to create. And then here we have the bubble diagram for the first floor. Here you can see the first floor and how we planned everything, how everything will be placed.
Floor plans. This is the ground floor of the building. Here you can see the floor plans will be designed to show the retail and restaurant spaces Since we have long lobbies, we made benches and public charging stations for people coming into the building. First floor. This is the first floor of the building. This is the first floor of the building. This floor will be used for workshops and retail spaces. We've provided some 3D models of the restaurants that will be continue showing throughout the presentations. So this is the top view of the first restaurants. Due to the large spacious area that we've decided to place the kitchen in the middle of the restaurant while providing a bar area around of it. Surrounding the outer layer of the restaurant, of the kitchen, we've provided the dining areas. This is the different perspective of the first restaurant that we've shown. On the left, you can see the northeast isometric side where you can see the whole complete building and the inside of it as well. On the right side, you can see a flush front view of the building, which provide someone standing in front of it, same as the flush northeast side of the cutout side of the building. Moving on to the rendering part of the building, we've picked a point from where someone stands to show, give us a visual of what the restaurant looks like from the inside. This is another example from a different viewpoint of the restaurant. Onto the second restaurant. This is the floor plan of the second restaurant we've created on the ground floor. On this restaurant, we separate the kitchen and the dining area, still keeping the flow throughout the restaurant. We've decided to use the columns as tables to help blend in the distractions. On this slide, we're showing the elevations of the second restaurant. The same thing as I said before, the northeast isometric shows a better full view of the restaurant. On the right side, it shows the flush front view of what someone would see standing outside of the restaurant. On this slide, we've provided some more renderings of a better visual idea of the restaurant. This is a different viewpoint of someone standing on the opposite end. And this is a viewpoint of someone fully walking into the restaurant.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns?
Totally amazing. Fantastic.
I nominate Richard to go first.
Thank you. Just a couple things. Some of the things we said in prior presentations may apply to you as well. When you looked at the space for the shoe store, it looked like it didn't really have much frontage. It looked like it had a narrow corridor that was sneaking behind something. So just pointing that out, stores kind of do best with frontage. Another thing, those other spaces where you showed storage, very linear. So you have the storage space, right? The perfect slide for it. So when you have storage that's linear, it's kind of like closets that staff pop out stuff. But if it's an area where someone is also with merchandise, now you don't have that wall for the merchandise. You're basically creating a single loaded corridor effect where merchandise is only on one side. So from a display, that's not the most efficient. So your storage in a linear sense doesn't necessarily make the rest of the sales area the best it can be. And then with the restaurant, I saw some interesting furniture choices. One of them represented communal table, from what I could tell. Other one had like really, really small table area in relationship to the chairs. So it's telling me, well, you're thinking of that for cocktail seating, not really for eating. So if that's not your intent, I wouldn't show tables like that in the graphics, because graphics are clues to intent. So if you were thinking of mixing an area for cocktails in with other type of dining, it wasn't in that one either. You know, so just some thought. You know, you're telling me a story through your graphics. Did I get the story wrong because your graphic wasn't really what you were trying to say? That I don't really know. And that's it for comments.
Maybe I can jump in here just to, I guess, add on to that, Richard. Well, regarding the storage, while I do see your point in the merchandise aspect of it, I thought the choice of the linear storage closets on the first floor next to the workshop zones was a really smart one, because that way you have 2 workshop zones, but you presented, I want to say 6, 7, 8 different types of workshops. And I thought that was a smart way of being able to have that same space for all these different types of workshops. So the arts and crafts, when they're not happening, can store their stuff in their designated closet. And then, you know, the investment workshop can happen in the same room. So I thought that was a really nice way of being able to have such a great offering while only using 2 rooms, even if they're large rooms. So I thought the closets made a lot of sense, actually. And I like that you thought of that.
And I do get the workshops with that sense. It's just for the convenience store, the office supply store, right?
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Is it about where customers are free flowing? You know, I can't tell that from here versus there's a counter and it's an area where customers aren't going to.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
There's actually, when you started with presenting all the different programs, that is very, very powerful what you're suggesting here. For example, the workshops, right, about the financial and investment and arts and crafts and fashion studio. I think the one thing which will be important for you to also think who will operate these. So for example, for the investment, you mentioned like maybe Chase or maybe another bank, but you need to be aware that they have an agenda. And you may, which would be about drawing people towards them. And that might be actually good when these kind of programs are run by independent non-for-profit organizations, so that they are really on the side of the consumer, because you want to really support people to make these kind of educational kind of experiences independent to a commercial interest, so that it's really benefiting them and not like a company like Chase. But having that all together here, I think it's fantastic, because also when somebody goes into the fashion studio, comes up maybe with some really cool designs and then meets a person who's going into the investment workshop, they could start to think about starting their own company together, because you need the money and the creative kind of powers coming together, right, to create companies. And you're building that already into this building through your programming ideas, which is really, really smart. And then the one restaurant reminded me actually in terms of the layout of my favorite restaurant actually in Jerusalem, which is mostly a bar in the middle, and the bar is also a kitchen. And when you go there alone, you can just hang out, you can look at what they're cooking here, and you get just be inspired by what they're preparing maybe for other people. So it's a really event-based restaurant, right? And we're seeing all of the industries going towards experiences and events. It's not anymore about just the product that you purchase. It's about everything around it that is exciting and makes it fulfilling. So even like just like showing a drawing like this has a lot that tells us about what we can experience and how innovative your concept is here. So super, super exciting. Very progressive.
You know, I would add also, you know, just echoing Matthias's point, I think it was extremely thoughtful how you pull together those uses. And, you know, it shows a lot of you know, effort and attention to what the meaning, you know, the meaning is of creating a space that's collaborative, where there's, and the, you know, the comments you made on the potential, you know, tenants and organizations that would be involved. I echo his comments. I think extremely well done, the presentation. And I particularly like the way you've curated those uses and how you've laid that out.
I actually, if I could add on to or connect with what Toby was just saying, and I don't know if you understand what curate means, but it basically you're designing you are picking the uses that you want to have. And I really like the fact that you thought about like, where can you help people in the community with different kinds of training, and you have, investing or financial stability, and arts and crafts, and allowing people to, if they have the ability, the willpower to start their own businesses here. And I also like the wide selection of different uses that you have proposed to locate here. It gives more variety, more interest, but it also is more option, but it also means that there's a greater likelihood that those spaces will also be occupied by some of those uses. And I'm just thinking about, Matthias earlier asked, whether Barnes & Noble is still around, and some of you are proposing bookstores. Bookstores, maybe they're not as popular, but there are other stores that can take, other different kinds of stores that can take the space that previously was a bookstore. And the graphics are excellent. Good job.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, thank you so much to everybody, and thank you so much for the feedback. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? No? Okay, then I'll pass it on to Mr. Codio.
Okay, hi Toby, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm gonna go. By the way, I was actually at Whole Foods last week and I bumped into one of your students.
Haley Bazuela, she told me.
Yes.
So
I told her she should call me. I offered her a job.
yeah.
It was very lovely. She recognized me under the mask. She was lovely.
Yeah, I'm gonna help her write the email.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You
So
see, guys, when you meet people out there, this, it opens up all kinds of doors. I don't know if the Department of City Planning is hiring, but a lot of other companies are hiring. So this was a very, very impressive overall. I'm blown away by what we said. I think we've been doing this for many years. I don't think we've ever seen the quality of presentation that all of you put together. So it's obviously tremendous effort on behalf of everybody who participated. You had a phenomenal mentor, Jessica and Mr. Codio, but the attention to detail, the thoughtfulness, each of these presentations were really top notch.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Mr. Codio, floor back to you.
Yeah, and thank you to all the stakeholders, because one of the best things they could have is just not only us, but having Jessica first and foremost, and all the other stakeholders being a part of this, is just show them what it takes. So once they leave high school, they'll be ready for, of course, college, but know what to expect in the real world of work, and knowing how critiques are done and how critiques are held, especially when they go off to college, the first year, which is one of the hardest years, when the professor looks at your model making. And a lot of the architects designers could attest to this, when they take apart your model and rip it after you spent hundreds of dollars building a study model, and says, no, this is not working, this don't work, try this again, I need this done by tomorrow. So this is, once again, this is phenomenal. And, from that, because I have to kick some of the students out because we're past our deadline. Security came and told us that we have 20 minutes. So what do you want to do going forward with this in terms of, the three teams that presented?
So maybe, I don't know if you thought through, did anybody on the WHSAD side think through, how do you want us to come back with the winners? We could go offline and we could communicate internally, and maybe we could send an email around.
Yes, that's perfect. And this is
everybody to drop off and we could talk right now. What are you guys thinking? This is a new world for us.
Yeah, I know. This is also being recorded as well.
Yeah.
So we could always, once the recording is done, we could share it with each and every one of you if you just want to go back and preview, and then we'll bring all the students back and you could judge then, or depends how long you think it will take. Because I know that some of you are writing the notes, so it's up to you.
I mean, to me, it's going to be very hard to pick a winner here, to be very honest.
Yeah.
Just because, and I think they all really, I think, looks like they did a really great job considering they're in high school and they're putting together professional presentation, and they should be congratulated. I'm sure they probably received help, but then they took the help. And I actually also thought that their presentation, their verbal presentation, was really good. It was, I was going to say it is, I'll be honest, it is not quite professional, but it is really, really, really close, right?
Yeah.
Considering that you are in high school, you've got this, right? You've got a head start to the quote unquote real world out there. So good job.
So maybe as Winston was speaking, maybe the way to do it, Mr. Codio, is to send all of us judges the 3 presentations, and then we could start a little email thread and get back to you maybe by Monday. So give us a little time to think.
Perfect.
And then
That's great.
we could do an announcement, and we can get back on, or we could do it virtually, and everybody hopefully is invited. This is 12th grade, so I don't know what the rules are about meeting now, but last year we did it like, I think it was in September when we got together.
Yeah,
Everything's lifted. Oh, D'Amato, go ahead.
we'll do an event once we get back. I think they're lifting things, so by September, I think we should be able to do something
Fantastic.
in the school building, and we'll invite all the graduates back
Fantastic.
for the event.
Okay, so if you don't mind, if you could send us the presentations, and then we'll start like an email thread internally, and come back to you with the first, second, and we have 3 this year, so we'll do first, second, and third place, almost like ranked choice voting.
Yeah,
And
awesome. So I'll send it tomorrow morning. I'll get all the presentation from the students, and I'll CC everybody on it.
And again, I'm going to reiterate, first of all, thank you to the entire WHSAD team for the privilege of working with you on this. And to Matthias and Jessica, the dedication and love, obviously, that you bring to this is, we're blown away watching this. And I've also always appreciate both Richard and Winston were phenomenal speakers during our speaker series. Even though it was virtual, I listened to both of those, and grateful for your time. And we look forward to doing this again next year in person and bringing our cookies, which we always love to bring. But you should everybody who participated, you should be very proud. I actually, for kids in high school first draft, I think it's maybe another couple of hours of work and we can get it to professional grade. So you should all be very, very proud of the work that went into this, and wishing you all, the 12th graders, great success in what happens next. And we're all here. If you need introductions, referrals, internships, we always love to help. And you should be very proud of yourself. And you've earned an amazing summer break, all of you.
Thank you.
Totally agreed. Thank you.
Yep, I also have to agree on that. Thank you for the work that you've put in. I've learned a lot as well in this semester, and it was really exciting to see, what you guys came up with every time we've met, and every time it was really well presented. So I'm really proud of what you put together.
And I think what is so amazing, right, when you work through some of these topics, you also realize what an incredible power you can have in the future about shaping the city you live in, right? Because it's not just about going somewhere and consuming things, it's about contributing. And that can happen as a urban planner, it can happen as a politician, can happen as an architect, right? And this is for me so exciting to see what you come up with, because it's also informing me what you want in your city, right? So it's like a living and a learning, and also a giving and an experiencing. So thank you for that privilege to get a little bit of an insight into your mind, into the future of Bushwick.
Very good, thank you. Does anybody on the WHSAD team want to throw in a final word?
No, I just want to say thank you. This is making what happens in the classroom, bringing it to life. So thank you for doing this, and thank you, students, for shining and being great and putting some great work together. So thank you all, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.